Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We got some work to do now. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you?
Dog, I'm listening to the Winter Radio.
We need some help from you now. A hell of a time.
I go straight from the bank, gassing up the tank, cranking up the radio, playing old Hank, it ain't that long.
Well, good evening, everybody. Wednesday, once again. Wednesday, July 17th, 2024. It's Hump Day. I was thinking earlier, what's better than Hump Day is, you know how they have gas stations, a stupid, like Come and Go? What a name for a gas station, huh? Come and Go. How about Hump and Pump? And you get specials every Wednesday. Hump and Pump. Welcome, everybody. Hump and Pumping. Let's see, there's only 167 days left in this year. That's 4,008 hours, 23 weeks, and 6 days. Let's see, what is today? National Hot Dog Day. Hey, that kind of goes with Hump and Pump, doesn't it? It's National Lottery Day, National Tattoo Day, National Emoji Day, National Yellow Pig Day. Tomorrow is National Caviar Day. I've never, ever tried that stuff. Don't know if I ever want to either. What happened on this day in history? On this day in history, back in 1955, Disneyland opened up. Also on this day, 1967. Now, this is weird. Jimi Hendrix dropped out as opening act for the Monkees. Could you believe the Monkees and Jimi Hendrix together? That don't even sound right. Quite a bit of difference in music, I think. Let's see, anybody's birthdays today. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. You share birthdays with like Donald Sutherland, born on this day in 1935. He died June 20th of this year. I didn't even know that. That means he just died. Wow. Huh. Or something. How could he die? That's weird, huh? Anyways. David Hasselhoff, 72. All right, what started? Okay, we started another wheel. As you guys have already noticed, you can follow me on Facebook. You get all up information up to date, all that type of stuff. Subscribe to the channels, all of that type of stuff. Patreon outing is November 15th. I think it was that weekend, 15, 16, 17, something like that, up at Gold Basin. End of October, you got the Superstition Rendezvous. And at the end of the year here, we have our New Year's event. Prospecting Club newsletter, if you need all that type of stuff, is on goldfeveradventures.com. That's all I've got on that matter. Let's see who's all peeking into this chat room here. Let's see, we got Paul. Hello. Knock, knock, anyone home? Richard, hello. Janon. Patty's Adventures, hello. Steve, hello. Richard Duke, John, howdy from Texas. Greetings from Michigan. Richard from Michigan. Craig Carter, golden greetings. Hello, Craig. David, hello. James Lane from Montana. Mark Nye from Missouri. John, Craig Carter, proud. Thank you, Craig Carter, the proud supporter. Yes, thank you. Minuteman, Mountain Man Adventures. He's up in Canada. And what else we got? Josh Cooper, Buck Rackley, Tim Anderson. So I'm going through all these. Chuckles, 470, hello. Prairie Prospecting. Francis, hello. Rocky Mountain. Timothy Pinkerton, hello. All right, everybody. So, nothing else is going on. It's hotter than hell here in Arizona. We do have a guest with us tonight, so let's bring him. I could be an auctioneer, couldn't I? Let's get this treasure hunter guy in here. Man, old James, he's world known. He's been all over the world treasure hunting. He's probably got more treasures than you guys have. And anyway, here he is. Hello.
Oh, how's it going?
What's happening, man?
Nothing much, nothing much. I'm just in my museum right now.
Oh, why don't you introduce yourself for those that don't know
So
you?
I'm James Stottlemyre. I've been treasure hunting for about 15 years now. I live in Prescott, Michigan, so it's like in northern Michigan. I travel all around the state, like digging for bottles, privy digging, dump digging, metal detecting, all that good stuff. I go snorkeling for old antique bottles, just anything having to do with history I really like a lot.
Sweet, that sounds like a lot of fun.
It's a blast.
So you've been up there in Michigan. I spent time in the UP once upon a time up there, and I was looking for the copper artifacts.
Yeah, my brother actually just found one last weekend. We were metal detecting up in the UP, and he found a copper spearhead.
Yeah, those are all cool. I really love that.
Yeah, I was a little jealous.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was finding them all around it. I think it was up there by Garden Valley, Little Bay de Noc area right in there.
Yeah,
I think that's where a lot of them they hung out at. So,
that's what I've heard too. That's awesome. What kind of stuff did you find?
oh man, I spent like a week up there. I've got arrowheads and spears, hair beads, rings, even fish hooks. They did everything out of copper.
Oh, they did. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was cool. Let's see, Oro Expeditions. Hello. So what kind of cool stuff? So you said you've been treasure hunting. What got you involved with treasure hunting?
Well, my uncle lent me a metal detector like 15 years ago, and I was just checking my backyard with my brother, and I didn't think we were going to find anything cool. And I can grab the find right here and show you. So this is what got me hooked. I found a ring from the Civilian Conservation Corps.
Wow.
I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to focus in. It's like enameled on the front. It says USCCC. But I actually emailed the president of the CCC, and she said she's never seen one before, so it's really rare. That's kind of what got me hooked.
So all this stuff you find, you just keep everything you find?
Pretty much. I mean, I've sold off some stuff, but almost everything I keep. Just some of the enameled signs that were in really bad shape that I got crazy money for, I sold. Like I dug an old Coke sign that was just in terrible condition and had tons of holes, and I sold it for $500. And I sold another one from a steel mill for $860.
Wow.
Yeah, so like stuff like that that's worth a lot of money that's in bad shape I sell, but it's like a majority of the stuff I find I keep.
Cool. So you go. So is that all you do full time?
No, I'm a district manager for Frito-Lay.
Oh, Frito-Lay.
Yeah, so I cover from like north of Saginaw almost up to the bridge. I just do this on my spare time. It's hard now because I'm working like 60 to 80 hours a week, but you know, it's like I got the weekends. That's pretty much all I do on the weekends is just dig for antique bottles and metal detect and stuff like that.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So what kind of detector do you use then?
I have a Garrett AT Pro, and then I got like a Garrett pinpointer, like the waterproof one.
Okay.
So I've had that for probably 10 years now, and before that I had a Garrett Ace 250. But I've had pretty good luck with those machines. They're really reliable.
You say, I never heard the term until just a couple months ago. Somebody on the show from back there, mudlarking. Never heard that before.
Yeah, I do my fair share of mudlarking. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where I found that shotgun that I showed you earlier. I was walking a riverbank and just found it, so I do a ton of that.
Yeah. Does it work?
Oh yeah. Well, I
Oh,
usually go to rough areas. Like I go to Flint, Michigan a lot, and there's a lot of crime there. So I find a lot of antique guns because people have been committing crimes there forever. So
Wow.
I've already found like 5 or 6 antique guns. I had to turn a couple of them in. The one was a sawed-off shotgun, and I didn't want to be walking around with that.
No, that'd be kind of cool though. Actually,
It was cool. It was super cool.
Yeah. So what do you think's the coolest thing you've ever found?
I had some buttons from the Revolutionary War I dug. If I can pull those out. Garrett Metal Detector shared a lot of these like on their website and like on their Instagram and all that. That's from the 17th Foot Regiment of the French Army.
Wow.
That one's super cool. And I found these around Detroit, around the Detroit area. That's the 30th Foot Regiment. And I'm trying to find the other ones. Oh, the 43rd Foot Regiment. This one's in really good shape. It's probably hard to see on the camera. I don't think the resolution's the best, but these are all buttons that I've dug. You can see like a lot of Civil War buttons and flat buttons. I dug a ton of tombacks.
So was the Civil War up in that area too?
No, it wasn't. No. A lot of it just came from soldiers that returned back from combat. You know, they came back to Michigan and lost the buttons.
Oh.
So I've dug a ton of those.
See, that's pretty cool. That's what we don't have out here is that type of stuff there.
Yeah.
I get really jealous you guys out there can go detect. I enjoy metal detecting and looking for stuff, treasure hunting and that.
Oh, it's so much fun. It's a blast. It's so addicting.
Yeah. No,
That's all I can think about. This is another really cool relic. It's a Civil War cavalry officer spur.
Wow.
So,
looks like
and I think it was altered in combat. You can see how the bootstraps were cut off. But it's a patent 1861. So, like from the beginning of the Civil War.
Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. I heard a lot of times they would cut the bootstraps off and use them to hold up their suspenders. You know, when their suspenders broke. It's just crazy. It's like, I know a lot of people that found Civil War relics in Michigan, and like I said, it wasn't even fought here. I think the furthest south that it was, or I mean, the furthest north that was fought was Ohio, from what I've heard.
But you only found one. You didn't find the other one, the mate, huh?
I didn't find what?
The mate to the spur?
No.
It's still out there someplace.
No, I dug that area up really good. I was sifting that site and never found them.
Well, you think if they lost one, they'd lose another one right there with it.
Yeah, that kind of blew my mind.
I mean, what was
do a lot of metal detecting out your way?
Well, yeah, but the stuff out here, what we do mostly metal detecting out here is gold.
Gold, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, see, now that's what you guys say. That's why I say we need to do an exchange thing. You guys come out here for gold, and we go back there for artifacts.
Let's do it.
I think we do good there.
Yeah.
See, bunch of antique firearms, no serial numbers.
No, here's another cool one. It's a Colt 1903, and they use these in World War One.
Wow.
Yeah. I actually have pictures of like soldiers carrying these in World War One. Like this exact same pistol. It's the same model and everything. Because the newer ones had Bakelite grips. They made them until World War II. I think in 1945 they stopped producing it. So this is like a World War I era one because it had like the wooden grips and it's the same style as the ones they had in World War I.
Well, is that semi-auto?
Yeah, it's semi-auto, yeah.
Wow. That'd be so cool to find that type of stuff like that. Well, so
It's
when
so
you're
cool.
when you're digging down and you find something like that, what kind of feeling do you go through?
Oh, I'm just thrilled. I love antique guns and vintage guns. So I just bought a British Enfield from World War II. It's like I really like old firearms a lot. So it's super cool to find something like that. Even though it's not functional, it's still really cool. It tells the story. But it was crazy. We found like 4 or 5 guns in that area. I think someone robbed like a safe or something back in the day and threw it over the bank of the river. But it was probably like 70, 80 years ago. So we were finding like mercury dimes in that spot out of the river where we were looking. We found a bunch of mercury dimes and tons of wheat pennies, but they're all like early ones. So, you know, the safe was probably thrown out a super long time ago and all the guns were so rusted. It's like you can't really do much with them.
That's Daryl Lane. Hello, Daryl. Panama Prospect should have some old Spanish and Aztec in Arizona. We do have. I've chased the Spanish treasures. I guess I haven't found any. We've got a lot of the writings on the rocks, the clues and stuff like that, but haven't found any. But that'd be fun. It's too hot to go out and do anything really right now.
I know. Another cool find. I have so many cool finds, but this was another crazy one. I found the spear point, and I guess it's like, I think it's 6,000 to 8,000 years old.
What's that made out of?
It's some kind of stone. I'm not 100% sure.
So you didn't find it with metal
So
detectors?
early though. I was actually metal detecting, and I was sifting the site, and when I was digging down, I found that. Blew my mind.
Wow.
It's so early. But there's a lot of history around here, so especially where I live, there's a ton of logging history.
That's cool, though.
Yeah.
So probably, I know back there you guys have what's private property, so you got to get permission to go on places, or
Yeah, usually I just hunt on public land, or I'll ask for permission to dig on private property. But I've had some bad luck digging on private property before, where they just take all the cool stuff I find. Where I'm like, oh, we can split all the cool stuff, and then they just take everything, and they're like, sorry about your luck, it's my property. So,
well, if you find it, can't you just slide it in your pocket and say, I didn't find nothing, man?
I don't know.
That's what I'd be doing, especially if they're going to be like that,
Yeah. Because I found I think it was a 1907 $50 one time, and the guy took that, and I found a bunch of like buffalo nickels and mercury dimes and all that stuff, and he just pocketed all of it. He's like, oh, thank you so much. Have a great day. And I'm like, wow.
So Panama says, do you have problems in Michigan getting to old areas like trading posts or old forts?
So I've never hit any of them yet. I mean, I would love to do that, but it's so restricted in areas where there's forts. It's like you can get felonies for metal detecting a lot of areas that are near them. Felonies or misdemeanors, and it's like I just don't want to mess with that.
You can't get special permission?
I mean, you probably could, but like the archaeology laws are so strict around there too. It's like I don't even really mess with it. Because I know right around the bridge, like around like Mackinac, there's a ton of that history, but I don't know. I just don't know enough about the laws around there. I just don't want to get in trouble.
So, Patty says I'm blurry. Am I blurry? I don't look blurry. But I wear glasses. So, so do you have any problems with the antiquity laws or anything like that? A lot of this old stuff.
I mean, not yet. I've never had a problem yet. I've even talked to some DNR officers, and they didn't have an issue with it, so I think I'm in the clear.
Let's see. Luis says, where are you from that you have so many laws?
Michigan. Northern Michigan, specifically.
Yeah, there's laws all over the place. I mean, we have a lot of laws out here, too. So
Yeah.
I think everywhere you go, you got certain places you can't, out here we can't go in. You can't metal detect like, withdrawn areas and national preserves and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's the same here. State parks are usually off limit in Michigan. There's so many good areas that you could probably head in those areas, but it is what it is.
Yes, I know that. Here we have what's called BLM, Bureau of Land Management. I know you guys don't have that back there, so we have a lot of open ground, where people put mining claims on it. So you can do other stuff you can't mine on them though. But that's where the gold is at.
Yeah.
So we're gold hunters mostly, but they say we do treasure hunting. There is Spanish that came up through here and stuff like that. So
well, that's awesome. You ever find any antique bottles out that way, or not really?
Yeah, I found. Yeah, I do. Well, I should. Yeah, I have found some cool bottles. I have done that. Some old medicine bottles and different type of stuff. There's like dumps. That we dig into once in a while. But a lot of that stuff when you find them, they're busted, and you get into can dumps. Are pretty cool if you get like the old log cabin cans and.
Oh yeah.
But anything that signs or anything of really of value, it's either been busted or hauled away.
Yeah, that's kind of how it goes. I mean, I get lucky. I doing the privy digging. It seems like I find more intact stuff. It's tough to do though. I used to go around Detroit, and it was just so sketchy. It's like there were times where people were shooting in the street, and I had to duck for cover. Yeah. I would go to really bad parts of Detroit and go digging, which wasn't a good idea.
I bet in the places. This place is called Gold Fever Adventures Campground. That's where I'm at. All land is privately owned here in Texas. Yeah, that's true. What was that? I don't know what that is. Old Scotta at Watts Smith Air Force Base. We did a lot of hunting areas. There's I'm sure everybody, wherever state you're in, there's got to be some type of history that like even if you went to old fairgrounds, I'm sure you guys got them too there, where you can go and find cool stuff, Cracker Jack stuff or whatever.
Yeah, I've never hit them before, but I've heard of a lot of people having luck there.
Have had luck?
Yeah, I never have, but I know people that have, like, before in the past.
Yeah.
Just finding lots of old coins and stuff, so.
Old movie theaters that's been torn down.
Yeah. But around where I live, it's mostly just logging stuff, so it's like you find a lot of iron junk.
Oh, yeah.
But I do find some really cool antique bottles. I can show you some of the ones I found recently. I got this bitters bottle from Germany.
Oh, that's
It's from
cool.
the 1880s.
Wow.
It has the Star of David on the front and on the bottom, and then it's embossed on the sides. But I guess it's a pretty rare one. So those probably came from lumberjacks. And I found this cobalt ink. This thing's pretty sweet. I think it's probably 1880s, 1890s. It's kind of hard to focus this camera.
No, we can see them. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then I'll show you some of the other cool ones I just found. I got this 1870s. Huh?
No, Tim says train track areas are best. Amusement parks. Yeah.
This thing's pretty cool. It's a squat soda from Detroit from the 1870s. I just found that a few weeks ago.
Wow, that looks like thick glass.
It's super thick. That's the first squat soda I've ever dug, so I was super happy about that. And then I dug this Hutchinson. I guess this one's really rare. I have a friend that has like a couple thousand Hutches from Michigan. He doesn't have this one.
Yeah.
This Bay City Pop Works. Because in Michigan, we call soda pop. So it says Bay City Pop Works. And that's how it actually got the name, is from these Hutchinson bottles. When they had pulled the stoppers out, it would make a popping noise. That's why people call pop in Michigan.
Well, that was what you're right. That's the original thing. How it's got its name was pop, and over time it kind of changes to soda. But that was the thing. You used to pop them open.
We got lots of old soda bottles you can see right there. A lot of these are local ones that I found.
So how do you date them?
I'm just really good at doing it. I've been doing it for so long. It's like I can kind of tell by the style. It's like usually like the Art Deco ones have a lot of waves and stuff like that, and they're a little bit newer. The seams go through the neck. Then usually in the teens, the seams kind of like stop. Like, let's see if I can find one to show you for an example.
I know how to show you my bottles, and you can tell me how old they are.
I could. I don't know if you can see that.
Well, that looks like a newer Coke bottle.
Well, this one's old. It's from like the teens. But the seam stops. The seam stops like right there on the neck, like right in that area. So you can tell that one's older.
If the seam don't go all the way up, they're older.
Yeah, usually the pop bottles from the teens, it's like they kind of stop, like, and then usually in like the around 1900 and all the way maybe up to 1910, they had these Hutch bottles. I think they started making them in the 1880s, so like the 1880s, like the 19-teens. And these are like my favorite kind of bottle to collect. I don't know if you've ever heard of the flavor Rock and Rye in Detroit. It's super popular. But this is a company that actually invented Rock and Rye, was this Wagner company. I dug that one in a privy in Detroit. Actually, that was one of the days where people were shooting in the street and I had to dive in the hole. I didn't want to get hit by a stray bullet.
Wow. So how are you finding them? You just got to go out and dig them someplace, or?
Well, I do privy digging, so I usually get like a spring steel probe, and I probe down into the ground. And that's how I find the privies. Usually I check the property lines, and then I'll go like behind where the house was. I'll usually go like 10 feet behind it, like where they would have walked out the back door to go to the privy or the outhouse. Because they would throw all their bottles like in the old outhouses back in the day, either that or throw them in trash pits or dumps. And then with the dumps, usually I walk around riverbanks, and that's how I find them. It seems like in cities I have better luck than like out in the country where it was more populated, because there would be more people living there and they would dump more trash.
So you were saying a probe down to look for the privies. How do you find privies?
You use a spring steel probe and you probe down into the ground, and usually you try to feel like kind of a crunch in the ground, and that's where the trash layer is.
Oh, crunch when you hit bottles or something?
Yeah, just like bottles and ash and stuff like that.
Well, there's a lot of, then you'd be poking holes all over the place.
I know. They're so small you can barely even see them.
Oh.
But we would go to these big properties in Detroit that were publicly owned because we'll check beforehand to make sure we're not trespassing. And we'll check these lots, but it's like there's some lots in Detroit that are just loaded. It's like there's privies all over the place. But people have been digging there since like the 60s or 70s, so it's a lot tougher than it used to be.
Well, I'd like to get in the back of this place because I know that back in the 1800s they used to have some ranch house here or something. And
Did they?
I'd like to know where we found a lot of old cans and stuff like that, but I have found some bottle dumps along the highway. A lot of them have been busted though, but in the back, I'd like to find where some of the privies used to be at. We found square nails, stuff like that.
Oh, have you? It's a lot easier actually, probably like in Arizona because the soil's more sandy. It's like in Detroit and like in Michigan, it's like the sand. It's not really sand, it's just like soil. It's like digging through dirt, so it's a lot harder to probe. Like with the sand, it goes down a lot smoother. So it's a lot easier.
What does the probe look like?
It's made out of spring steel. So it's kind of like in a T shape. So the very top's like the handle. And then it has the shaft that goes down like the spring steel shaft. And it has usually like a little ball or like a pointed probe at the end. So you poke that into the ground.
And you just slide it in the ground, huh? It just
goes.
Yep. Wow. Yeah, I don't think our soil's too hard here. I don't think I've had to try to look for a septic tank once upon a time, and and what we had to do to find it was a T-handle thing, but we hook water to it, and the water acts as the jet that bores the hole down.
Oh, did it?
To locate it.
Yeah. Well, here's another cool bottle I dug in a privy. I mean, I got so many bottles, it's hard to show all the stuff I found, but it says Baby and Hanaran, Windsor, Ontario. This one's from like the 1870s. It's a huge soda bottle from a liquor store. The glass is so thick on this, it's crazy. I can't imagine someone getting in a bar fight with this. It would probably knock someone unconscious. It's like the thickest glass I've ever seen.
Wow.
But I had a guy drive all the way from Canada just to look at this because he wanted to buy it at a bottle show.
Wow. So you don't find no coins or anything? Do you metal detect in privies?
Oh, I got a ton of coins. Yeah, I got a lot of them.
Privies too?
Yeah. Well, I find a metal detecting a lot of times. I found some coins in privies, but not a lot. I found like a seated dime in a privy and some Indian head pennies, but that's about it. And it's like most of the coins I find metal detecting. I could show you a really cool one I dug last year.
Well, what about close to the privy when they sat down, pulled their pants down and sat down and lost stuff out of their pants?
Yeah, you would think you would find more of them, but I really don't, surprisingly. This is a really cool coin. It's an 1806 half cent from the UK. I was thinking like an old pioneer cabin with one of my friends, like the site of one. And that's the first signal I got, I swear. You can see Britannia on the back. And then that's King George III on the front.
Wow.
But like I fired up my metal detector, and as soon as I swept, I got this amazing hit. It was like a 90 on the AT Pro, and I'm like, holy cow. So I started digging down, and I popped that out. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Couldn't believe it. I was just in disbelief. And at that same site, I'll see if I can find it. I found the Civil War token. And someone shot it with a small caliber gun, maybe a 22.
I wonder why they did that for. Just practice.
I have no idea. Because it's like a perfect hole. It's like, I don't think anyone hammered it through or whatever. It's like such a clean hole. I think someone shot it.
Threw it up in the air to see if they could see
Yeah,
it.
This one's from 1863 in Civil War token.
Wow.
Yeah, these are all coins that I've dug down here. Lots of Indian head pennies, Mercury dimes, Buffalo nickels. This one's really cool. It's a Chinese coin from 1736 to 1795.
Wow.
Found that in an abandoned park. At an abandoned house at a park. And see some of the other cool ones. Or I told you where I found all the guns. I found that Walking Liberty $50.
Oh, that'd be cool.
That was pretty cool, yeah. This is really interesting. I think this was actually a cast for faking Indian head pennies because it's in reverse. It says 1 cent, but everything's backwards. It's made out of lead, so I think they were actually stamping like counterfeit coins out of this. But it's just hard because so many sites get picked over.
Yeah, but every time you go out, like metal detecting, because, I mean, you can go over a target and you just barely miss it by, half an inch and go over or go the opposite direction. And so, I don't know if areas really ever get picked out. I think the cream crop get picked, but it seems like there's always something left there.
No, I agree with you. It's just a lot harder than it used to be. Even like 15 years ago when I started, I was finding a lot more coins and stuff like that. But it's like I got a lot of good spots now. It's like after a while you start to accumulate like a lot of good spots. It's like I have spots where I can go to like almost every time and find cool artifacts.
Or depth, even, I mean, the newer detectors are going deeper that other detectors can't reach down to, or,
Well, like I found, for example, I found all these. I don't know if you can see them right now, but all these suspender buckles at one spot.
Yeah.
All these relics right here, that all came from the same spot. All these suspender buckles right here.
Wow.
All these.
Man, you got
Black Glass morning buttons, and then I got Goodyear buttons that are made out of vulcanized rubber.
Wow.
More right there. More buttons. A lot of those date from like the early 1800s all the way to like the late 1800s. So it's like I got spots. It's like, just where you can find a lot of good stuff. It just takes a while. It's like you got to do a lot of research. Sometimes you just stumble across spots too. So.
Wow. No, Luis, I haven't gone diving for a while. I kind of gave up diving for a little bit. Thought I'd take a break from diving.
It seems like it's a pretty cool hobby. I've always wanted to try that.
Yeah, I got certified and went out a few times and then just kind of thought, man, it's really not for me, I don't think.
No.
I'm a wuss. I don't like going down that deep. A while back, there were some guys on the show from upper New Jersey, and they talked about they'd go to some of these dumps and they'd find what they talked about, the rag bombs, back in the days where they went around, I guess, to people's homes and got old clothing, and then they, whatever they did for the rags or soaked them or whatever, and then they'd find all these buttons in these dumps and that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was usually paper mills. They would recycle.
Yeah,
that's where I found a lot of these buttons at.
I've heard of people finding gold along the Missouri Road. They're talking there gold and that. Follow the creeks and rivers. The old settlers needed water to live. Well, that's true. That's where you find a lot of stuff that is along rivers or close to the rivers, uphill from the bottom of the rivers. They always lived uphill, so walk down to the rivers. Yeah. They didn't want to walk up the hill. They walked down the hill. Well, you've got a lot of stuff there.
I do. I got a lot more that I haven't showed yet. It's like, it's just crazy how much stuff you accumulate. And I've given away so many antique bottles and, just sold all the duplicates and everything. So it's like, it's just amazing how much stuff you find. So it's like, you can see my window. I got more beer bottles and I got these shadow boxes and got a cabinet full of bottles right there. And then up here, I got, old oil cans that I restored. And I got more stuff over here. That stuff's pretty cool. Some old bone dominoes, an old cross. These are Goodyear combs. That's an old spigot from probably the early 1800s. Well, this is a really cool find right here. This is from a lawyer from Battle Creek, Michigan. So I found that, and he was actually in charge of the Sioux Railroad, too. And this was like his personal name tag.
Wow.
His name was N.H. Briggs from Battle Creek. He was born in 1848, and he died in 1914 of a heart attack in the middle of the road. When I guess he was going to church, and he donated everything to his mate instead of his own son.
Wow, how far are you away from Battle Creek?
Probably like 3.5, 4 hours. That's on the west side of the state.
Oh, okay.
This old pipe's pretty cool.
I used to hang out in Athens.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Some big farmland and all that. Well, that's an old pipe, huh?
Yeah. I've actually smoked tobacco out of that.
Wow.
Kind of cool. I'm not a smoker, but it's
What's
like
that made
out of clay.
Wow.
And the makers actually carved their initials in there. So it says O'Dwyer Brothers, Detroit, Michigan. And then TD, I think Thomas Doyle was his name, carved his initials in there. That made the pipes. So that was cool. And I found the sash buckle. This is another cool find that I made there. I think it has like an Indian chief on it, but that's probably late 1800s.
Wow.
Lots of cool stuff.
Yeah, we don't have old stuff like that out here. I mean, we've got, these are some, there's a Riker, there's a bunch of buttons right there.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Nice.
But the oldest one I got, there's an old Army button from General Patton. So that's like 1942, I think it was.
That's cool. Yeah, I like the World War II stuff a lot. It's interesting.
But then crap like this, the old gas tag. So our stuff is like the 1400 or the 1940s, 1950s, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I did find there was an old homestead and how they had the rock walls, and I found an 1860, what is that, a penny? 1860 penny in the wall. I had to chip the wall apart.
No kidding.
Yeah, that was kind of
cool. That's
but
amazing.
Here on the so tax tokens, we find a lot of old tax tokens, but they're not that old. But the coolest thing I think we found two of them.
Yeah.
This particular one was 50 cents off, but what it is, it's an old swastika thing.
Oh, wow.
And it's part of the Good Luck Club.
Yeah.
That they had, and that was before the Germans got a hold of it.
Yeah.
For it. But
well, speaking of that, you're not going to believe this.
You got one.
I found this Nazi plate in a dump from 1942 from the Luftwaffe officers. That's here, cool. Right there. So that's from like their aerial office.
Wow.
That was just laying on the surface. It's in perfect condition. There's not a single chip or crack or anything. Blew my mind.
Yes, we don't have all that stuff. Somebody found this on the property and they gave it to me. It's a 1948 chauffeur's badge.
Oh, nice. That's sweet.
But yeah, we don't. But I wish we had some cool stuff like you guys do. But
yeah, well, it's crazy. Like the people on the East Coast, I feel like find way cooler stuff than I do in Michigan. So it's like I'm kind of jealous of some of them, where they find large cents like every time they go out. It's like I've never even dug an American large cent yet.
Yeah,
that's another cool one. United States Medical Department, and then it's stamped 1926 on the back.
Well, your house has to be full of all that. That's like a museum walking in there.
It is. That's what all my friends say. They're always like, "Do you want to come over to James's museum?" when they're talking to their friends.
Rubber ducky prospecting.
All my neighbors too. They're like, "Oh, you live in a museum, don't you?" I get it all the time now. So it's like my whole house. I got a small house. It's only like 900 square feet, but it's just all antiques.
All right, let's see what I got to do. Let me play a commercial. You hang on a second while I play a commercial?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, hold on, folks. We'll be right back.
ICMJ, the International California Mining Journal, was first published in 1931, 93 years old this year. Since our first issue, our goal has remained the same, and that is to provide miners with a voice, a marketplace for their goods and services, and to offer expert advice and tips from our knowledgeable writers, miners, geologists, all in the field. We still offer our 12 and 24-month print subscriptions, but keeping up with the times and with our reader requests, The digital online subscription option allows for a simple and gorgeous reading experience using your preferred technology, your phone, your tablet, or computer. Sign up for our print, online, or both print and online at www.icmj.com or call us at 831-479-1500. For our advertising services, both display advertising and classifieds, select the miners market section or call us. Happy prospecting.
Happy prospecting. Make sure you get that subscription to the magazine if you don't have it. Excellent magazine there. Yeah. Well, welcome everybody. So you got a YouTube channel, don't you?
I shut it down. I just got sick of making the videos. It was like so much work for me, especially with how much I work now. It's like I just didn't have time for it.
So how do people follow you, or do you do any type of social media?
I have an Instagram, Michigan Relic Hunter, and then you can follow me on Facebook too, James Stottlemyre. So like either of those ways, you can see all my finds I post. I've posted like almost every good find I've ever made on Instagram.
So you basically do Instagram then?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not huge into the social media stuff. It's like I don't even have internet or cable at my house. I'm a pretty basic guy, but I just like to share the history with people, It's just fascinating.
Yeah.
It's like, one day when I die, I want to, like, have people be able to see all the stuff I found over the years.
Yeah, somebody's going to have fun cleaning the place out then one day, huh?
Yeah, well, it's going to be a mess. They're going to be in here for hours.
So that's when everybody's going to say, oh, yeah, they'll have a flood in there to take the stuff they want. And then after that, they say, you guys clean up.
Yep.
I was kind of thinking that I was going to say in the beginning, we may have low numbers tonight since you got that convention thing going on. Everybody's gluing to that. I was talking to people today, and they said, I can't wait for the convention tonight. I said, yeah. So.
Gotcha.
That's what probably a lot of people do is watching the convention.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Did I miss any questions? Anybody got any questions here? You guys got any questions you want to pass off? Chuck says, nice Colt.
Yeah, thank you. My brother found a Colt pistol too. He found like a newer one. I think it was from the 40s. It had like Bakelite grips. I found a couple of revolvers and some other stuff too that I gave to some buddies because they really wanted them.
Back there, or is that part of different? Somebody sent me, you ever find any of them shark teeth and all that type of stuff?
Oh, yeah, I have.
Magandon teeth or whatever and all that.
Yeah, well, I've never found a megalodon tooth, but I got laid off during COVID, and I actually was dating a girl that lived down in Florida, and she moved in with me for a few years. But anyways, like when I was laid off, I would just go and look for shark's teeth all the time in Venice. I found a beach that was like loaded with them.
Where did you find them at?
In Venice.
Venice, that's not the United States, is it?
No, there's a Venice, Florida.
Oh, Venice, Florida. Oh, okay.
And there's some that are like decent size. I mean, nothing crazy, but still, it's like I think fossils are cool. I'm just more into like the antiques, but I do like finding shark's teeth a lot.
Would they just float up on the shore or something?
Yeah, but I actually found like a park that had a ton of them. So,
I
think it was like right off the beach. It was just loaded with shark's teeth. It's like everywhere you look, you would find them.
Well,
I don't even know how many are in here, but I would say at least a few hundred.
Well, what do they do? That's what I'm saying. Do they lose them and they float up on the shore? Or
I guess so, yeah. Or like back in the day, I think like a lot of that area was ocean.
Oh.
So it's like, the teeth were deposited and then they're just all over the ground. It's like I really want to go back there. I'm really hoping this year I can take a trip down to Florida with the PTO I have.
Yeah, I hit the record before I came in, but yeah, they can replay. That part's true. They can do that there.
Yeah.
So you never found any Magadon teeth? What is that? What it is, Magadon?
No, I found a little chunk of one, but I never found an intact one. I would love to find one someday. I have a friend named Kyle down in Florida. His channel is The Wild Kyle. We've shot some videos together, but he finds a ton of them. So I'm hoping we can go together one day and find some.
Yeah. Do you detect along the beaches?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I don't have a whole lot of luck doing that, but occasionally. It's like I found a couple gold rings and some silver rings, but it's like I'm more interested in the antiques. I mean, if I can find a beach that's really secluded where I can find artifacts, I'm all about that. And that's what I'm actually going to start doing this summer is just finding really secluded beaches because I kind of live by the coast of northern Michigan. So it's like I kind of want to find some beaches that are out in the middle of nowhere and do some research and see if I can find any old swimming holes or anything.
I think there's a song about that, about northern Michigan.
There is by Kid Rock.
Yeah, you got it.
Sweet Home Alabama. It's like the remix of it.
Sweet Home Alabama.
Yeah. I actually met Kid Rock when I was like 11 or 12 at a bar. It was kind of cool. He was pretty drunk and he was smoking a couple cigars. I got a picture with him, so that was cool.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah. My dad almost got ran over by him one time because we lived in Clarkston, and that's where Kid Rock used to live. Like growing up, I grew up in Clarkston, so.
Wow. Interesting finds, Chuckle says. So you just got stuff laying all over there in cupboards and floors and.
Yeah, it's like all over. You can see in the bedrooms too. That's a cool beer sign if you can see it. Bay City Brewing Company. That's from the 1890s. I dug that up a few weeks ago.
Cans. I saw some cans.
Huh?
Cans. But
yeah, I restored all those.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
That's an old license plate from 1912 I found.
Wow.
And I had a ton of modern license plates. I only kept a few of them to kind of put them, around. But
holy mackerel.
Yeah, I probably had like 40 of them at one point, but I started selling them off at flea markets because I'm more interested in the old stuff. To me, that stuff's too new.
Oh. No, that'd be awesome to be able to find stuff just to walk out and just go look for stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice. I've been single for the last year, so it's like I pretty much just go traveling every weekend to wherever I want to go and just do digging.
Yeah, I keep saying one day I'm going to make a trip back east and be able to do some of that stuff. Have you ever done any magnet fishing, Mark said?
I have, and I haven't had a lot of luck with it. I found like some wrenches and tools, but really nothing that great. I have a friend that magnet fishes a lot in Flint, Michigan, and he finds all kinds of crazy stuff. He's probably found over 100 guns in the last couple of years.
Wow.
That's all he does is he just magnet fishes the river all day long.
Wow.
Because he's like an ATM. He repairs ATMs for a living, and he's always on call. So it's like whenever he gets a call, then he'll like run out. But besides that, he just magnet fishes all day, every day.
Wow.
So it's like if you put in the time, you can find some cool stuff, but it's a really hard hobby. It's like you really have to put in the time to be able to find good stuff. Otherwise, you're not really going to find much.
Well, just like fishing, you throw it out there and reel it in. Throw it out there, reel it in. Throw it out there,
so much
reel it
jump
in.
In these rivers, it's crazy.
Yeah. And then you go over the bridges, and then you start to cheat, and then you have a big rod, and you drop down about 6 of them all along the long thing,
Yeah.
and just drag on down, let the current drag them down, and then reel them all in. Reel a cannon in.
This is another cool find. I forgot to show that. Murray Hill Hotel. So that hotel was built in the 1880s, and I guess a lot of presidents used to stay there. I think like Teddy Roosevelt and some other people did. But I guess in 1902, they accidentally blew up part of the hotel. They were trying to set off some dynamite to build like a subway station, and they blew up part of the hotel. It ended up blowing the guy's head off. That set the dynamite off, and it killed a ton of people. So that might have actually been in the hotel when that happened. It looks pretty old. I would guess late 1800s, maybe early 1900s. So there's a good chance this was in the hotel when it exploded.
Probably since it's chipped.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. Wow. Somebody would hate the metal detector around that place. Do you got a bunch of stuff outside too?
Yeah. Not a ton, but I do got some stuff. I can show you my newest project I started doing. It's kind of funny.
Do you find any cannonballs or anything like that out there?
No, I never have. I would love to find some, but I really want to go down south and, find some Civil War bullets or something like that. So this is what I've been doing recently. I've been digging up old antique bottles and putting them in this garden. And then you can see like on the perimeter outside my house, it's like I got a lot of
Oh,
bottles hanging and hubcaps and all kinds of stuff. So,
wow.
yeah.
So James says, which metal detector do you use?
Oh, Garrett AT Pro.
Yeah.
I just found that old beer barrel actually last weekend when I was up in the Upper Peninsula.
Wow, still intact too.
Yeah, it blew my mind. I think it's probably from the early 1900s. My buddy's dad's going to restore it, so.
Still got the ring on it? The rings?
Yeah, it does. I wanted to keep it, but my buddy's dad really wanted it, so I'm just going to trade him for some ammo.
Oh, that's generally thought that wood or whatever is all would rot away by now.
That's what blew my mind. I've never seen anything like it. The river was really cold, so I think it preserved it.
Oh,
Kind of like a shipwreck. You know, all some of those ships are still preserved underwater. It's like the same kind of thing.
oh, yeah. Or the rusted part, the rings would all rust away or something.
Yeah, yep.
That's pretty strange though. So that's cool.
Something else cool that I haven't showed yet. So I've actually dug up these paper label bottles. I have a dump where they're coming out. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's weird. It's like this camera's almost like inverted. Yeah, there. Cook's Compound. Look at how good that label is. I literally dug that out of the ground.
Wow. Yeah, man, I bought some books a while back on, bottles and dating bottles, and because I've got a few bottles, and I wondered how old they were and that type of stuff. But
well, I could tell you if you got them.
yeah, they're next door over there.
It's a snake oil bottle I dug with a paper label, and that one's probably from like the 20s, I would say, maybe the teens.
Wow.
The uranium glass is really cool too. I dug a couple of those. That one made the front cover of the American Digger magazine. I think I got about 10 finds on the front cover of the magazine now. There's another Cook's Compound, and I've written like 6 articles for them.
Yeah, they had a thing in there a while back about the gold that we found up here.
Oh, did they? Cool. That's awesome. These are really cool, these Fago bottles. Let's see if I can kind of like hold it up to the light a little bit so you can see it. They have hot air balloons. I actually worked for Fago. It was my first job out of college. So I worked there for a couple of years. But they have like 50 different flavors of soda.
Didn't bottles one time used to put like the dates on the bottom of them or something?
Some bottles do. It's like most don't, though. I don't know if I even have any bottles in my collection that have a date on them. I know a lot of the Hutchinson bottles, like out of state, I think like Washington, D.C. and some of those states, like they had the actual dates that they were made on them. I'm just really good at telling, because I've been doing it for so long. Some of those pharmacist bottles are pretty cool, too. I had some old dolls in there. This is actually trim from Henry Ford's Fairlane estate. I got permission to dig there, and the security guard let me keep it. That's super freaking cool because it came from Henry Ford's house.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'd love to know how old my bottles are.
Yeah, I could tell you. Oh, this came out of an insane asylum right here. I actually found a silver pin from World War I. That's what that is. And that's a World War I medical kit.
Wow.
Found all this at an old Boy Scout camp. There's a dagger, one of them made out of copper. That came from a famous hotel in Detroit right here.
Show and tell people stuff for a moment. I'll run over and grab some bottles.
Okay. There's a copper ashtray. The Boy Scouts would like hand make those. Found all this stuff in a dump. Old buttons, coins. I think that's actually a Morgan dollar right there that's melted. Well, this was super crazy. I found all these dog tags, buried in the same spot. I think there were 202 of them or something like that. They're all from 1957. A bunch of wheat pennies. I got 2 full jars of them. Tons of porcelain and bone buttons. I have like bags full of them that I haven't even cleaned yet. Old rifle cases from an old military encampment. All that stuff too I dug in an old military camp. It's a soldier's boot. Seated dime, Indian head penny. That's a bugler's pin right there. Detroit Auto Club. That's enameled, and then it's a license plate topper from Ypsilanti, Michigan. Studebaker license plate. I'm sorry. That's a emblem for the front of it, or the radiator. That's a Michigan State seal from the Civil War. Old pocket watch. That's pretty cool. There's a 50 cal from World War II that was drilled out. This thing's in pretty good shape. Kind of shocked it's not more corroded. It's an old powder flask from the Civil War era. This button's really cool with all the snakes on it. I think it's probably late 1800s. Old dog tags. That one still has part of the collar on it. This rattlesnake buckle, super cool. See, it has a bunch of rattlesnakes weaved all around it. It's a World War I Sam Brown belt buckle. Silver comb piece. There's some more trim from Henry Ford's Fairlane Estate. Show these bottles a little bit closer up. Some more right here. Yeah, I've showed just about everything. So I got a few more things. These bottles right here. These are all late 1800s for the most part. Diamond ink and mucilage. That's a Siemens liver regulator. My cork just fell out. It's original cork. Old dull parts, kind of creepy. Got heads and legs and torsos. This one's really cool. Double flavoring extracts. It's like a honey amber. That's like 1880s. Hood sarsaparilla. That's an igloo ink bottle from like the 1870s. It's in the shape of an igloo. A bunch of milk bottles right here.
Old stuff.
Yeah. These bottles are pretty cool. The Flint Creamery Company with the arrowhead. I saw one sold on eBay for $107.
Wow.
Pontiac Dairy, that one's probably worth close to 100, I would say. They're a little bit more common than the Flint Creameries. Get your bottles?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the flash flood warning. I got that thing there up in Meadview. Hello, Alan, Steve. James, you have had some great luck digging and detecting.
I have. I'm a lucky guy.
Some of these they've been given to me, but so you mentioned the seam. So this one goes all the way up, that seam there, though.
Yeah, so that one's machine made then.
That's
Because
what
they would hand apply the necks to the older ones. So that one, it's kind of hard to see, but that's probably from the teens, I would say.
Yeah.
The seam goes all the way up. It looks like it's pretty old.
This one says castor oil. Oh, this was a castor oil bottle.
Oh, castor oil? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably not old either. That seam, I think, goes up too. No,
Yeah.
no, that one doesn't go all the way to the top.
Oh,
It only
does it?
goes up to about here.
A little bit earlier then. Like early 1900s to the teens. This is an automatic bottling machine, I think came out in 1903, but it took a while to implement that, before it became like widely available.
Okay, so this goes all the way up. This was liquid scoliosis or whatever.
Yeah, it might be from like the 20s. Maybe the teens.
And I know that once they get older, they start to turn purple.
They do. It's like the manganese in the glass. It turns like a purplish color. So a lot of people will leave them out in the sun. Or they can artificially nuke them too. So people do that to sell them for more money if they're like a slick bottle that's not normally worth a whole lot.
That one goes up the top. And then if they're corked, they're older. Some of these
Yeah,
are different.
usually the corked ones are a little bit older.
Somebody told me this was a really old bottle.
Yeah, that's a pumpkin seed flask.
Yeah, pumpkin
Probably
bottle.
from like the 1890s.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. A whiskey flask.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that seam goes up to the top too.
Yeah.
That seam goes up to the top too. That was a big cork.
Yeah, because over time, it's like the seam started to go further and further up when they started to like automate the process more with the machines.
Huh. Yeah, and I don't know where all my bottles are. This one was kind of cool. It has a little chip in it. I couldn't believe that. Oh, it even has a cork still in there. But, yeah, that's a couple of them. I don't know where they're all at. Say, but nothing really old, I guess.
That's cool though. It's still history.
Yeah, nothing that's worth. Somebody was telling me that there's this guy out here that used to manage this RV park, and he said across the grounds from where he was, there was this big open field, and he saw these guys over there metal detecting, and that's so he walked over there and asked them what they were doing, and they said they were looking for the Santa Claus bottles from Patton. I guess they were only out in that whatever year Coca-Cola came out with Santa Claus bottles or something. They said they were
Oh
worth
yeah, the
$1,000.
Patton. It was like December 25th, 1923.
They're worth a lot of money.
Well, I have one of them. It depends on the city. Because like I have one from Flint, Michigan that's probably only worth like $5.
Oh,
There it is right there. It's just it depends on the rarity. That's the thing with a lot of the stuff. Like there's 1923 Cokes that are worth a lot of money, but since Flint was a bigger city, it's like they're a lot more common.
well, he said these ones had something to do with Santa Claus.
I'm not sure. I mean, they call it like the Christmas Patton because it's December 25th, 1923. I don't know if that's what he's referring to. Maybe that's why.
No, I think no, it was something to do with the war, probably 1942 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But they're supposed to be valuable. I mean, I found an old Coke bottle out there that's they were half little dinky things in the old Coke bottles. They were smaller.
Yeah. Oh, here's another crazy one. It's a Blatz pop bottle because back during Prohibition, Blatz had to start making pop so that they wouldn't go out of business.
Cool. It's amazing to find glass like that. Alan says found a pile of Landerim bottles under a doctor's office from late 1800s.
Well, that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. So well, it's cool that you because you're actually keeping history alive by finding all that stuff and bringing it back rather than just letting it get destroyed. And so
yeah, definitely. And I've just met a lot of good friends doing it too. It's like it's awesome the people you meet through this hobby. It's like almost all my friends now I've met through this hobby. It's like I stopped hanging out with everyone that doesn't metal detect or bottle dig because I'm so interested in it, It's nice because it's like all my friends and I can relate really easy just because we do it all the time.
And what else did you used to do?
Oh, what do you mean by that?
I thought I saw a picture of you with some barrels or something. Oh, is that the barrel that you had?
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah.
Oh, I thought maybe you were chucking barrels or something, barrel chucker or something.
No, that would be cool though. Maybe one day.
You were holding that barrel over your head or something.
Yeah, my brother thought it would be funny. He's like, "Oh, you should hold it over your head," and I'm like, "All right, whatever."
Okay.
Snap the picture.
Cool. So that's all the stuff you got there, huh?
Yeah, I mean a majority of it. I haven't showed like every single thing, but a lot of it. A lot of the stuff that I haven't sold or whatever.
So people that kind of like, because everybody's got, lives in little probably cities or little towns that's got some old places around. Somebody kind of wants to go out and look for some of this stuff. What kind of advice or what could you tell them to kind of steer them in the direction of this stuff?
Well, I would do a lot of research. So what I do is I look at Sanborn and plat maps. You can figure out where old houses were way back in the day. I know, like when I lived downstate, like closer to Detroit, I would pull up old plat maps, and it would show like where all the different houses were. And then you can go on different websites, I think like HuntX, and you can see like who owns the property. So you can see like if it's public land or private. And that's how I used to find a lot of my sites, or I'd look at the old Sanborn maps because those were more for cities. The plat maps would just show like a little bit of everything, but the Sanborn maps were just mostly the cities. So when I was digging in a city, I would look at the Sanborn maps, and it would show you even like the outhouses and stuff like that. So that's another helpful thing for privy digging. It doesn't always show them. I know a lot of cities didn't have them like near where I live, but I've seen other cities where it shows like all the different outhouses where they were for. Because the Sanborn map's essentially like a fire insurance map. So it's like the fire department would want like proof of like all the outbuildings and all that. So that's why they would make those maps. So it's super helpful if you want to get into privy digging.
So yeah, because the outhouses would explode, so the fire department would want to know where all that shit's at.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And besides that, like I said, I would just walk a lot of rivers if you want to find dumps. That's the best way to find them. And I would look in like more populated areas like cities, because like I said, if you go out in the country, it's like more times than not, it's like they didn't have a lot of trash and they might have just thrown them in the privy. But like if you're in a big city, it's like they would have had a lot more trash. It just gets sketchy though. Like I said, if it's a dangerous area, so you just got to be safe.
Chile, Lewis from Chile. Wow. That's a long ways away.
It is.
So do you do any use Google Earth or anything like that on researching?
Not really. I mean, there's another website called Historic Aerials, so I'll look at that. And well, I mean, you can actually do that. You can overlay like old maps from historic aerials with Google Earth to see where houses were back in the day. So like with historic aerials, you can look at old aerial pictures from like the 1950s and compare them. You can overlay it with like a modern map to like see exactly where the house was and to see exactly where all the outbuildings were, so it's more precise. And you can do that too. You could do that with a like a plat map, but the only thing I found with that is they're not super accurate. Because I found a plat map from like the 1850s, and my buddy and I were trying to find this house from the 1850s. We were walking around in this field, and it took us like an hour to find it. It's like we went exactly where the dot was, where it showed where the house was, but it was probably like 300 feet off. Wow. So it's like those map makers, I don't know if they were drinking or what, but it doesn't seem like they were super accurate when they were like plotting all the houses.
No. Well, Google Earth, you can go back in time, back up.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of how Historic Aerials is too. Is it'll show like even old maps. So I think like the oldest ones in my area will go back to like 1907. And then you just overlay it.
Yeah, I think Google Earth only goes back to like the 80s or something.
Oh, does it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just hard now that I don't have a computer anymore. And I don't have internet, so it's like it's a lot tougher to do it on your phone. It's easier on a computer. But it's like I got so many good spots now. It's like I don't do as much research as I used to do because I have spots where I could go bottle digging and find bottles all day long.
What was that site called? That old site you go to?
Oh, Historic Aerials.
Is that all over?
Yeah, I think it's all around the country. And then Library of Congress usually has the plat and the Sanborn maps. So if you look up the Library of Congress website, you can pull those up.
Really?
Yeah.
I need to find the history of this place. I still can't. Nobody has any.
Oh, they don't?
No, there's nothing around. Nobody knows anything really about this place.
That's pretty cool, though.
All I have found, this place was homesteaded in 1862.
Wow.
And somebody put it in a book in the late 1800s. There was a ranch house here that they stopped. There's an old well out back where they watered, stage stop out front from the late 1800s.
Well, actually, sometimes they would fill in wells with old antique bottles. I mean, they were new back in the day, but now they're antique. I've actually dug an old well out before, and I was finding broken bitters bottles inside of it from like the 1890s.
That's what I could do. I could go. There's some trash back by that well. There's a lot of. I guess I could just take the backhoe and start digging holes.
Yeah, it's dangerous though because they can collapse. I didn't even know that when I was digging it.
Oh.
Because sometimes I guess they would just stack wood underneath and there wasn't a whole lot of dirt, so you'll just fall to the bottom. And I've heard people have died doing that. I've been buried alive once, like bottle digging. It's not fun. My friend had to dig me out. I was buried up to my neck.
Wow.
So I was kind of like tunneling underground, and it collapsed on top of me. And I've showed people pictures, and they're like, "How'd you not die?" So the cliff was so far like above me, so I got really lucky. It's always good to be careful when you're doing that, because one stupid mistake and you could be dead.
Oh yeah, because generally once you get all that dirt around you and you can't breathe, and yeah, that's bad.
It is.
Well, hey, cool the mundo, man. Anybody else got any questions here? Any final questions that you would like to ask old James? Like, when's he giving you all his bottles? When's he going to, yeah. So do you go into your local clubs out around there, give stuff, talks and all of that?
No, not really. I live way out in the boondocks now. It's like the nearest bottle club would probably be Flint to me. And I think the nearest metal detecting club is probably Detroit. It's just a drive from where I live. I'm probably like an hour and a half away from Flint.
What, do you find anything from the old Henry Fords and all of that, Model Ts and old car parts and stuff?
Well, yeah, I showed you. I can see if I can find it. This one's stamped with the date. It's an old Chevy piece from the 20s. It's made out of brass. And I showed like everyone when you were gone, but I have this stuff right here. Ypsilanti branch, Detroit Auto Club. That's a license plate topper. Studebaker radiator emblem. There's a Buick radiator emblem from like the 20s. I think both the Studebaker and the Buick are from the 20s. That Ypsilanti thing's probably from the 20s too.
Yeah, I would think being around Detroit and that, you'd find all types of car type stuff.
Yeah, I dig a decent amount of it in dumps. I've actually found like a Model T in a dump before.
A Model T?
Super bad shape. Yeah, it was in really bad shape. Like someone drove it in there and just left it.
Wow, that'd still be cool to put out in your yard.
It'd be too hard to get out. That was the problem. I was trying to dig it out with my buddy, and it's so deep in there.
Oh.
It just got buried over the years.
Oh, that'd be cool to have in the yard.
Oh, for sure.
Yard art.
Maybe in the future. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Let's see, Chuck. Thanks for sharing awesome collection.
And thank you.
Okay. Take care there. All righty. Nobody has any questions in? I guess we will go ahead and bring this to an end.
All right. Well, thank you, Jack, for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, no, I appreciate you taking some time, stopping by, and sharing some of your cool finds. It's always nice to see people's artifacts and cool treasure stuffs and talk to treasure hunters through all over the world. And it's kind of a way you can share some of those your finds and that with us. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, definitely.
So appreciate it. All right, everybody, you guys all take care. Have yourselves a fantastic day. Stay out of trouble. And you know what they say, like, share, and subscribe. And until our paths cross again, good night, everybody. Thanks, James. Take care, buddy.
Yep. Thank you, Jack.
See you. Bye.